Hello YouTube, Jerry Kirkpatrick here, and today we're going to do some polishing of the English wheel anvils. About 2 weeks ago I was doing some copper work, and as I was annealing the copper in order to do more work on it, I would dip it in an muriatic acid bath to get rid of the black that was present after heating and annealing. About 2 or 3 days ago, I was walking by my English wheel and noticed that the top of each of the wheels, the anvil wheels, and the main wheel also, the 8-inch, had rust sitting on top of it. I guess with the acid being present in the shop here, it ate away all of the oil that I had on it and allowed these anvils and the wheel to get some rust on it. So what I'm going to do is polish all of them. I think this is going to be a 2-part series, mainly because of this piece right here. This is a mandrel that I made way back when I trued the English wheels and put a flat on them. In this portion, I'm going to walk you through this. I think anybody that's going to be polishing your English wheels, this would be an invaluable tool for you. In the second part, I'll be actually polishing the wheels, both on the lathe and by hand. And because of this tool here, I can do so. I can mount the wheels on the lathe, polish it that way. If I don't want to use the lathe, then by using this and some other attachments that I've made, I can use this as a handheld polishing device. So let me walk through how I made it. I think you'll find it very interesting, and if anybody is going to be wanting to polish your English wheels, this tool here will help you do so. So this is the heat, the heart of this particular tool. All it is a piece of 1/2-inch water pipe that has been turned down to the same diameter as the ID of the bearing on your English wheel, and in the end has been welded a 3/8 16 nut. Next is this particular washer, and the way I made this was using a 2-inch hole saw, which is larger than the outside of the bearing. Made this washer and dimpled it just slightly. It's probably depressed maybe 1/8 of an inch, not much more than that. The overall dimension is 5 inches. The reason for the dimple in this flat washer is so when I slide this in, the pressure is on the outside of the bearing. Next, I made this cup, which is just a piece of tubing, a couple of flat washers welded on the outside, tack welded, and I use the same 2-inch hole saw to make this. That goes on there. And when this is tightened up with a 3/8 wrench, this will not turn. I can hold this in the vise and I can do the polishing in my lathe. I said vise, but I meant lathe. So that is for polishing the English wheel anvils on your lathe. If you want to hold it by hand, just a very small washer that is thicker than the amount of the depression of this flat washer. Now when I slide that on there, this is free to spin because it's touching the inside of the race. Next, all I have to do is with a flat washer that doesn't go outside of the race, I screw that in, tighten it down, and there I have 2 handles to work it on either a belt sander, your buffer, whatever else you want. And the wheel is free to spin. So that is probably the tool that those of you who are either going to polish by hand or in the lathe, if you make this tool, you'll be able to do it either way. So first, I'm going to polish these on the lathe. So I'll take my mandrel without using the spacer washer, slide that on there, use that cupped washer, put that on there, tighten it down, and I'll tighten it down again once I get it in the lathe. So now the anvil, English wheel anvil, will be spinning with the lathe. Okay, to get this polishing on the lathe, I've got the mandrel. I'm going to slide on the die, the bottom anvil, tighten this up, and as you can see, only half of this has gotten rusted. This was the portion that was up, and the acid cleared off all of the oil that was on there. So the first thing I'm going to use is a very old used sanding sponge. Excuse me. Looks like the worst of it is right around here. Next, I'm going to go to 600, and I cut this just to fit on the sanding sponge. And you can see how that's coming up much brighter. Make sure I get all the way around these soft corners. And now I'm going to go to 1000. So there you have it, we're just about there. So we're at a point now where we can go right straight to the buffing wheel. But before we get over there, in the second half of this video, part number 2, I'll be showing everybody how to get to this point if you don't have a lathe. And the first way is by having this free spinning. We'll be able to use the belt sander. Next, by using the adapter that was shown in the video Making Your Vise Smarter. We'll put this adapter in here. Put the die in there. This is free to spin, just as it was by using the belt sander. And the third way that we'll be preparing the dies to go onto the buffer will be by using your drill press. In the first two, for the belt sander and using the adapter in the vise, both of those, the wheel was free to spin. By using the drill press, it's going to be tight to the mandrel just as it was on the lathe. So watch the second half of this video and I'll be showing you all three ways of preparing the English wheel, lower anvils, and the upper to get to the buffing wheel. So here we are ready to do some buffing. And if you've ever looked at a rouge reference chart, you will have noticed that the only colors that are applicable for steel are black, green, and blue. So in this exercise, all I'm going to be using is the black. I may go to green just on one of them just to see if it makes much of a difference between those two. So I've got the bottom anvil mounted on the mandrel with a flat washer behind here and a smaller washer here, so it's only touching the inner race, which allows the die to spin freely. So I put the black rouge on. Now, in order to control the amount of spin on the die, if I introduce this straight on, die will start spinning and eventually get up to very, very fast. So the way I control the speed at which I'm buffing is I rotate the die. So I can speed it up in this position and slow it down by turning it to one side. I don't know if you can pick that up, but this thing is spinning very slowly. But if I get it more towards the horizontal, it starts speeding up. And the slower it goes, the more polishing you're going to do. It up to a very nice sheen. So there we have a polished wheel, and you have to remember that whatever the surface, if you have a nice polished, a mirror finish on your anvil wheel and the top wheel especially, because that's the one that's going to be facing you when you finish your project. The higher the polish on the wheels, the smoother the finish will be on your project. If you have scratches, marks, even a hair will put a mark in the top surface of the piece that you're rolling. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to look at the second in this series, where I'll be doing everything with the mandrel on the belt sander, in the vise, or on the drill press. So thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe. See you later.